This is Brian Mayer, host of Hot Sauce Weekly, and you are listening to BCRN, all barbecue and grilling all the time.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show, the show where we talk about all things that are important in the world of barbecue. From big-name interviews with competitors on the barbecue circuit, grill manufacturers and pit makers, to advice on cooking brisket and ribs. You'll find it all right here on the Barbecue Central Show. Your host, Greg Rempe, is a backyard barbecue and grilling fanatic and loves to talk about his passion, which many of us share together. You can learn more about barbecue and grilling by visiting the website, thebbqcentral.com. Now, let's get in the smoke. Here's your program host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show. I am your program host, Greg Rempe, and you have found the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks. Centralites, how's your life? You have made an infinitely wise decision to tune into the show right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks. As you know by now, the show originates from the barbecue capital of the North Coast, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. So happy to have you aboard here tonight. And welcome to the Barbecue Central Radio Network, simulcasting as always on LA Talk Radio as well. Let me give you some contact information right off the top in case you want to jump in the show tonight. We have a very busy show as usual. Some would say one of the best shows in recent memory. Of course, this show hasn't actually took place yet, so time and history will be the judge of that. Nevertheless, if you want to jump in on the phone, you can do so at 216-220-0966. That's 216-220-0966. You can also email the show at any point if you want by using this email address, BBQ Central Radio, BBQ Central Radio at gmail.com, and that is the way to get in touch with the show. Coming up, or perhaps I should say that this is what's going to be happening on the show. Coming up around 14 past the hour, Myron Mixon from Jack's Old South. He is the pitmaster. He is I guess you would call him the breakout star of the TLC show BBQ Pitmasters, which airs every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your particular airing times might differ depending on where you are in the particular country or world. But 14 after, Myron Mixon will be talking about the show, obviously. If you have any questions you would like me to try and fit in amongst the ones that I have already concocted from my own brain, you can do that as well. 34 past the hour will find me revisiting with monthly guest John Dawson. John is a well-known food blogger, barbecue competitor. His website is patiodaddiobbq.com. And we will be talking about the kiwi knives that seem to be making quite a splash over the last, I'd say, 2 or 3 weeks, especially on a lot of the barbecue and cooking, grilling blogs and forums and so forth. Cheap and supposedly very sharp. John will be talking about his experience, which I believe is right into maybe the 3rd or 4th week that he has had his hands on these. He has 2 of these knives, so we'll get his expert review on the kiwi knives, and that'll be around 34 after the hour. 4th segment, we'll find the usual suspects. We do have a CSI Caper submission that we'll try and get to at some point. Also, frog mat giveaway. You heard me talk about the frog mats last week. If you would like to try a frog mat for absolutely free, all you have to do is be the right caller, which would be the first one in the 4th segment, and you can get a custom-cut frog mat for your pleasure. Also, Cosmo's Q prize pack giveaway, and if time permits, we can get into some Cosmo reviews as well, as a number of Centralites have gone ahead and ordered some Cosmo's injections, and I have gotten some feedback from them. Just a couple house cleaning items. Quick reminder, at 10 till, we will stop simulcasting on LA Talk Radio. So if you want to avoid the changeover, you can go to the Barbecue Central Radio Network's website at that point. You can find that easily by dialing in the BBQ Central Show, the BBQCentralShow.com. That'll bring you to the newly revamped Barbecue Central Radio Network's radio website, and you can listen from there. Very intuitive. Also, big news that the Barbecue Central Radio Network was actually added to the iTunes software. Now, let me explain what that exactly means. That means if you went to iTunes.com and you downloaded the software to your computer, whether it be Mac or PC, within that software program, and you don't need an iPod to use it. You can use it just as a standalone program to manage your media if you are so inclined. Nevertheless, right at the top left, you have your music buttons, your podcast buttons, all that stuff, and the last button there on the top left is a little icon that says radio. Radio. So radio is good, right? Click radio, and that will list a whole bunch of streaming radio options. A lot of them are internet radio. A lot of them are regular traditional radios that also stream their stuff on the internet. And if you scroll down to where it says news/talk, and then you go ahead and display that pull-down menu, about 10 down alphabetically is Barbecue Central Radio Networks. And we are newly listed on the iTunes software. So whenever you want to jump in and listen to some great barbecue and grilling talk, if you have iTunes, which has attracted a substantial amount of new listeners just in the roughly 36 hours that we've been listed, maybe 24 hours since we've been listed. We've been heard all over the great country of ours, the United States, but also in 10 different countries right now. I'll go ahead and pull the map up, and we'll see. Let me refresh this real quick. I can give you an idea. Most of the listeners are going to be here in the States, obviously. But we have China and the Philippines are enjoying the Barbecue Central show as we talk right now. So it's certainly international right now. Barbecue growing and growing at feverish and breakneck speeds. So we have the CSI coming up as well. And then a couple of other quick notes here. Wanted to make special mention. It was probably beginning of December. We talked with Candy Weaver. She is the owner of Barbecuers Delight Wood Pellets. She was running for the Kansas City Barbecue Society's board of director, and she was elected to the BOD just this past week. She actually received the most votes out of anybody running. That includes incumbents. So congrats to Candy Weaver. Lots of votes, lots of hope that she will start to bring the change that a lot of people have been talking about here over the last year or so to that board of directors. So congratulations to Candy. Good luck with your endeavors. Also, the 2010 competition season for the KCBS kicks off this weekend in Lakeland, Florida. The Lakeland Pig Festival will kick off, $10,000 up for grabs there. Lots of big-name competitors in the barbecue competition circuit will be down there to include readying his defense of the 2009 Team of the Year title, Rod Gray and Pellet Envy. Some other notable teams that I just happen to know of personally because of going back and forth with Rod, Tuffy Stone and Johnny Trigg. Both of those guys you would know from the TLC Pitmasters show as well. I believe, what is it we got? So we have Myron Mixon coming up at 14 past. Next week, we have executive producer of Barbecue Pitmasters, John Marcus, to come on, and we will do the halfway through the season post-mortem on the show. And then the week after that, we will have Tuffy Stone of Cool Smoke, who is also a cast member of that show. So I believe that would bring me to, the Tuffy Stone, Leanne Whippen, Myron Mixon, John Marcus. So I guess roughly half of the cast will have seen this portion of the show at some point before the end of the very first season. John Marcus also promising some type of a big announcement for the show as well when he makes his appearance, and that will be next Tuesday, right around the same time slot as Myron Mixon has for this week. So looking forward to that, absolutely. Let's see here, and I guess that's all the house cleaning that we have to do right now. Quick reminder before we get out here and start looking for Myron Mixon. The Ribbulator, my man Bob Garnash of the Ribbulator, wants to let you know right now that he's running a special. The Ribbulator, $89.95. All right, so that's one. 2 bottles of rub. You get 1 flavor each for free, plus free shipping. 2 bottles of rub are going to get you, that's a savings of $14. Free shipping is going to save you roughly another $15. So that's $30 and free stuff if you buy the Ribbulator. Again, you have to have the existing spit rod and motor in order to use it. And it rotates the food in a Ferris wheel type fashion. And if you haven't seen it yet, you want to check it out. The website is ribbolator.com, RIBOLATOR.com, ribbolator.com, $89.95. free shipping, and 2 bottles of free rub, a savings of $30. You can't beat it. Ribolator.com is the place to go. I'm going to get out. We'll look for Myron Mixon when we come back. It's Rempy and you right here on the Barbecue Central Show.
Get in the smoke. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back. It's the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks. I'm your host, Greg Rempe. This portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at the Barbecue Guru, makers of automatic pit temperature control devices, not to mention a host of other products that make your barbecue and grilling life easier. 2 ways to check them out on the web at thebbqguru.com. You can also give them a call toll-free at 800-288-GURU. It's good folks at the Barbecue Guru. All right, as promised, joining me now to talk a little Barbecue Pitmasters television show and barbecue in general, friend of the show, Pitmaster of Jack's Old South, Myron Mixon. Myron, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Good to hear from you, big man.
Well, I guess we've reached new heights of status with you have paparazzi following you now, Myron. What about that?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting having the TMZ guys following us around last night when we went out and had dinner with Buddy from Cake Boss.
When was the last time that you got out of a car and then you had some schmuck off the street come on with a light and a camera and stick it in your face?
Probably when I got my divorce from my first wife, when she hired a private detective to follow me around. I figured that's probably the last time.
Yeah, that's about right. So just some of the quick accolades that you attended over last year: 2009 Team of the Year, Memphis Barbecue Network, 22nd overall finish in the Florida Barbecue Association, 35th overall in the KCBS, mind you, a 4th overall in the brisket category. So, within those 3 sanctioning bodies, continuing to do very well. And as we talked last time, you were on your way out to the Jack Daniels for the 12th time, just shy of that elusive grand championship with your reserve on that finish. Disappointment when it came down to that at the Jack?
Well, that's the best finish I've ever had. So you've got a little bit of disappointment then, but I was also proud. I was, again, best finish I've ever had. I've finished third 2 or 3 times, and it is elusive. It's a hard thing to conquer and figure out that game up there at the Jack. Nobody there's a slouch. Everybody has the cream of the crop. The only place you wind up with a little unevenness is when you get in the blind area. You got so many what they call the celebrity judges, people that write for food magazines and things like that. And it's not more unfair for one than the other. It's just if you're unlucky that day to wind up on a table with a lot of those type people, and not have some of your good certified judges. So it worked out. The stars were in alignment, and it worked out good for me that weekend. Next year,
13th year is the charm, right? Isn't that what they always say?
I hope so. It will be my 13th year in a row if I wind up there again, qualifying for the Jack Daniels and actually making it. I hope I'll be able to pull it off and not have to hear a qualifier. If I can just win the World Championship in Memphis this year, that's an automatic, so that'll get me done.
There you go. We're talking with Myron Mixon, Pitmaster of Jack's Old South. Looking back over last year in 2009, is there one particular event or moment that sticks out to you that you'll always remember?
The Jack Daniels, to me, was probably the most defining moment for me for the 2009 season. Again, taking reserve grand there, that was, to me, my biggest achievement. We did a lot of things last year that were, I call milestones for Jack's Old South. We wound up winning our 11th contest at the Barbecue Battle in Washington, D.C., out of 13 years competing there. And that's a big accomplishment. We won our 8th Team of the Year for Memphis in May, or in the NBN network. And that is a milestone for us. But to me, the reserve there at the Jack, again, by the talent you're competing against, and just the sheer luck of winding up on the right tables, I put that right there at the top thing for us in 2009.
There you go. We're talking with Myron Mixon, Pitmaster of Jack's Old South. So let's go ahead and talk about the show, Myron. Obviously, it's been doing very well in the ratings. A lot of buzz about it on the internet forums and probably just on the street as well. So kind of give us a little background. I mean, how were you approached about the show, and were you pretty much in it from Jump Street, or did you have to think about it before you decided to get in on it?
Well, I was pretty much involved in it from the start. Not my idea, though. It was John Marcus.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, when he pitched it to you, were you like, well, let me think about it, or were you like, oh, yeah, I'm in right away?
Well, I always go on John's instincts. He has a big career and a big reputation in the TV biz. I mean, he was the executive producer for the Cosby Show for 6 years.
Right.
And when he tells you something, you pretty much got to go with his instinct on it. And he's the guy to come up with the reality concept of barbecue at these competitions. And when John told me, what it was all about and everything, I was in from the start.
So you're seeing these new episodes, at least from what I've been told, you're seeing the new episodes just like we are every Thursday. From how it was shot, when you had the cameras around you, to what you're seeing finished, is it pretty much staying true to how it went down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty true to everything. A lot of it got left on the cutting room floor. Some of it I thought should have stayed in, not necessarily parts that revolved around me. There were some funny things and happened to a lot of us on the show but then again, you ain't got but an hour. And really, you don't have an hour. I think it's something like 46 minutes or something like that to get it all in there. So a lot of good things, I think, got wasted.
We're talking with Myron Mixon from Jack's Old South. He is the pitmaster also on the TLC BBQ Pitmasters show, which airs every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, Myron, I mean, I don't think it goes without saying that you're probably you're the character that's probably generating the most buzz out of all the cast members out there currently that it's being featured on the show. You have a faction that obviously loves you regardless. You have a faction that really seems to have a strong dislike for you because of how you're coming off on the show with the swearing and the arrogant attitude and all that stuff. Now, look, I mean, I've interviewed you. This will be my third time. I don't think I've ever heard you even almost swear, and you've never been confident, of course, because the body of work speaks for itself. But I've never necessarily seen you or talked to you, whether it be on the phone or in this show format, where you've come off how you are on the show. Is this something where you thought, in order to kind of push myself out there and to get most exposure, did you kind of work up a heel role on the show and try to maximize it that way?
Anybody's had any success in anything. I don't care whether it's tiddlywinking, shooting marbles, cooking barbecue, or racing cars. You got to have some form or some level of ego to make yourself keep pushing and pushing and pushing to be the best. But a lot of times in any type shows, in anything, you got to have a bad guy, and not necessarily a bad guy, but the arrogant ass, kind of like what I am.
Right.
And I'm hoping to ride that all the way to the bank. You know what I'm saying? But, some of that's a little bit me. I mean, my mom gets on to me a lot of times, as my wife does, about talking to me when I get excited or I get mad or get angry about things. And my mom even said that she couldn't go to church for a month because of the way I was talking. And I told her, I said, well, Mama, I said, I cuss sometimes. She said, yes, son, but everybody in America knows you do now. So...
Well, I think one of the best comparisons that I've heard or that I'd read somewhere was, we're watching a reality TV show. We're not watching Myron Mixon, the documentary, which, totally two different things. So I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of realize exactly how you've just explained it. A lot of people wanted to hear that, or maybe were waiting for you to hear that, and this is probably one of the only venues that you can actually talk about it. One of the other things that I've found intimate fascination with is you've probably single-handedly increased sales for the Wagyu brisket world by like 1 billion times. Does it really make that big of a difference?
Yes, Wagyu is probably the top grade, in my opinion. I know you got Kobe out there, but in my opinion, the Wagyu for the money is the top grade of beef that you could possibly use in competition. And, and I've preached this before. You can go and spend an extra $30-$40, get that brisket, and have a better shot at winning the grand, or at least being in the money on that particular category, which is the brisket category, and you can't just get a choice or prime. And my thing is, most of them out there are paying $500 and up for first place. Why would you want to shortchange yourself $30-$40, not have to be in the hunt for the total dough? And that's my whole argument. And there is a big difference in the type and quality of meat by going with that Wagyu. The marbling is just tenfold. And the place where I get mine from, only like out of the kills that week when they process, and only 5, maybe 6 really meet their standard to go to their gold label Wagyus, which goes and gets graded on the percentage of marbling in them. And that's like an 18 to 25% marbling in those particular briskets. So whenever you can get one like that, whatever company you're buying from, they do have a top flight. And that's all based on the grade of the marbling inside. So if you want to step it on up and get even a little bit better one, you want to get that with about the 20 to 25% marbling content in them, and that's what you want.
We're talking with Myron Mixon from Jack's Old South. He is the pitmaster, also on TLC's BBQ Pitmasters show, which airs every Thursday. Myron, how much a part of success does your wife play in your competition, in your competing?
My wife, especially in my when I really started first competing, she went a lot. I mean, she went a lot of times with me and made the trips and worked hard. And, and she couldn't go as much now as she did at one time with her job, being an elected official here in Dooley County where we live. But the thing about what she does, she keeps me focused, keeps me down to earth, not far as the ego thing and everything, but she keeps me focused on the prize, what I got to do to keep competing and not get distracted and, get too out of whack, angry or whatever, and the anxiety part of it to keep me focused on there ain't nothing out there that goes wrong that I can't fix. And she just reaffirms that to me all the time, and that really has helped me more than anything in the comps, because I really believe, regardless of what goes on at those comps, short of burning up the pit and the knee, I can fix anything that's gone wrong. And she just helps reinforce that for me.
All right, so I know you're busy and you got a lot of stuff to attend to, but looking forward to tomorrow, more specifically tomorrow night. You had a few moments there on the Jay Leno show a couple weeks ago, but now you're back in Glitztown, getting ready to do a spot on the Craig Ferguson show, which is the Late Late Show. Can you give us a little insight as to what that segment might be about?
Well, now this is coming in on the ego part of it, but I've always made the statement that I was good enough to do a certain thing when I'm cooking. And, well, that certain thing is going to get shown tomorrow night on the show, so you need to stay tuned and watch it.
All right, so everybody, if you're not staying up late to catch it live, set your DVRs, watch Myron Hill again. He'll be on the Craig Ferguson show tomorrow, Wednesday, for a segment that's going to be great. So, Myron, and now let's be honest. I mean, it's just us talking here. Nobody else is listening. Doing this show and then doing the Craig Ferguson show, I mean, is it not a tremendous step down to go and have to do some type of thing with Craig Ferguson?
No, not to me. Craig Ferguson, to me, is the one that he does the stuff that maybe not, it's all to do with what society I tolerate now, but he's a lot like Carson was in the 60s and early 70s. Does a lot of the physical comedy, does a lot of the things that was edgy. Carson did a lot of edgy things on the sex part.
Right.
Today it would seem like, you let kindergarten students watch what he did, but it was edgy back then. Well, Ferguson does the same thing. He does a lot of physical stuff and a lot of the props he'll put on and do things like Carson always did. You don't see Leno and Letterman doing any of that. You don't see Conan doing any of that. And this guy here is going to play more to me as far as my personality, as far as a lot of things I do on the show with the language and things like that you couldn't get away with on Leno or Letterman.
Right. Now,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Now, in all honesty, though, it's going to be no comparison compared to showing up here on the BBQ Central show, though, right?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this right here is the premier media outlet.
Oh, the premier radio outlet. I have you on tape, so that's going to be dispersed all over the internet, no doubt about it. Myron, always appreciate the time, the candor, and the insight. Good luck tomorrow night, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, big man. I want you to call me now. If you don't just give me a call like you see tomorrow night, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Well, give me a call.
All right, I'll do that. Thanks a lot, Myron. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
There he is, Myron Mixon, pitmaster of Jack's Old South. If you need him, jacksoldSouth.com, by the way, is his website. Also has some franchising opportunities that are going to be taking place, or that he's looking to actually branch out into. A lot of successful restaurants have started mom and pop wise, and then look to branch out through the efforts of franchising. And certainly he's no different. So if you go to jacksoldSouth.com, I'm sure there's a link over there for his franchising opportunities as well. So what did you think? I want your feedback as well. You can call in or email. Again, 216-220-0966. We're looking at John Dawson here coming up in just about 6 minutes. But, this is something that really kind of affirms what I had been thinking all along. I mean, you go back through the archives of the show here on the BBQ Central show and listen to the interviews that I had done with Myron Mixon. Now, look, certainly no doubt about it. I mean, you can just hear the confidence and the way he holds himself, even just over audio. Doesn't even have to be in person, that he's a confident guy. He has a body of work behind him that certainly speaks for him. But certainly there's no reason that, given how he's aiming right now, that he could easily sidestep this show without a doubt and not give me a second glance, or he could continue to play up the heel aspect or the villain aspect, as he said that he's doing or that he did for TLC. So I kind of thought that was probably going to be the way. But, you find yourself talking to you're reading stuff on the internet and on all these forums about how he's doing it the wrong way and he's not coming across the right way as far as competition barbecue should be shown on television. And again, it's only one aspect. You have probably the guy that'll be on in 2 weeks who most people think is doing it the right way in Tuffy Stone, and of course Johnny Trigg, who we'll try and have on the show here at some point as well. But I think the exposure for the sport right off the bat is key. So again, thanks to Myron Mixon for coming on and spending the time. Very busy guy, and we certainly appreciate it here on the Barbecue Central Show. I'll look for John Dawson right now. Give me a quick timeout. It's Rempe and you right here on the Barbecue Central Show.
Big name interviews. Coverage of competition barbecue. And the only host willing to give his honest opinion on all topics in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we are back. It's the Barbecue Central Show. 216-220-0966, number to get in touch with the show. Also, BBQ Central Radio at gmail.com. This portion of the show brought to you by Yoder's Smoky Mountain Barbecue. You know who they are by now, the leading online distributor of Meadow Creek barbecue equipment. Their smokers, pig roasters, chicken cookers, and grills are handcrafted in the Amish country of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and their goal is to give you outstanding value for the price, help you enjoy easy and profitable barbecues for years to come. Also carrying a complete line of wonderful rubs and sauces. Check them out on the interwebs. SeriousBBQs.com. Thanks again to Myron Mixon for joining us last segment. Lots of great info and insight, and as many people are now writing into the show, just like Dennis in Florida, it's becoming clear that he's playing a character on TV, and look at the dividends that it's paying off. So that is certainly one of many like-minded comments that I've been receiving here over the course of the break. But as promised, joining me now to talk a little knife and beef short ribs is venerable food blogger and overall good guy John Dawson from Patio Daddy-O BBQ. John, thanks for coming on tonight. How are you?
I appreciate it, Greg. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, certainly my pleasure. And you are going to be talking about a topic that has been hotly... Well, how do I want to say this? It's been being watched with bated breath, anxious anticipation, these knives, these Kiwi knives. No doubt from your large cash expenditure of $10.95, people obviously want to know what these knives are all about. So give us a little genesis of how you kind of rolled across them, how you went about ordering them, and what you think now having them for like the 3 or 4 weeks that you've had them.
Yeah, no problem. As you might expect, being a foodie, I kind of monitor tons of blogs and all kinds of internet traffic about various subjects, and the Kiwi knives were no exception. I kept hearing a bunch of chatter out there about how great they were, but how cheap they were, and I kind of brushed it aside and thought, well, how good can they possibly be? And then I came across one post that kind of broke it down to where it was like, I got to give these things a try. And so I went and did some poking around, and I found out that for like $3.95 for what they call a meat knife, which is kind of like a Santoku but kind of blunt end, and then $1.95 for a paring knife, I thought, well, how can I go wrong? So I ordered them, and they came to my door lickety-split, and I couldn't wait to unwrap them. And when I did, I found out that these things are like razor blades with handles, as I mentioned in my review online, that they are just brutally, brutally sharp. And I'm not a guy who's normally intimidated by knives, but I must say that when I opened these things up, I paid very close attention to what I was doing with my fingers.
So, I mean, what do you think makes these such a value? Merely because they're manufactured in Thailand, or is there something else that you're seeing that you're looking at going, you know what, great blade, but as far as longevity or potential longevity, probably not so much?
Well, I'm a big fan of, I'm a knife freak in general, and I'm a huge fan of global knives, which are Asian, Japanese knives, and so they have a really thin blade, and so I'm kind of used to that whole genre of knives. And so these things, to be honest with you, I don't know really where they'll fit in the big scheme of things, because I've only had them a few weeks, but what I will say is I cooked 3 pork butts today, and I actually trimmed the fat on my pork butts with a paring knife, just to kind of put this thing through its paces, knowing that you'd want to be talking about it. And another thing that they're really great at is vegetable prep. I mean, these things will whip through onions and any kind of vegetables like no knife I've ever owned. I mean, because the blade is so thin and so flexible and so sharp, they just do murder to vegetables and fruits or whatever you might need. So
are you using the blunt end knife more than the paring knife, or are you using the paring knife more than the blunt knife, or are you 50-50 on either?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, the meat knife is the one I'd been using the most first off, and then today was the first time that I really put the paring knife through its paces, and that was, like I said, trimming 3 pork butts, and I was shaving fat off the back of these things, and it was literally just like cutting through hot butter. I mean, it was amazing how well these things are, so how well they're made and how good they are at what they do. And I will say that they are a niche product. I mean, they're very light. So if you're a guy that likes a lot of knife heft and you need to have that feel of like a serious knife in your hand, you won't be happy with these. But if you're a guy who can kind of get used to the lightness of them, I mean, I got big hands, and the first thing that struck me was how light they were. And my sister is also a trained chef, and she came over to the house, and I showed her these things, and the first thing out of her mouth was, they're so light. So that is kind of it could be a plus or a minus depending upon what your needs are, but these things they're great at just general preparation. I mean, like I said, they'll go through vegetables like crazy, they'll go through fat, they hold their edge, at least so far as I've used them, like crazy. I mean, it's just insane how sharp they stay even after you run them through their paces. So, like I say, I don't know where they're going to end up in the big scheme of things, but for right now, I'm loving them. And if nothing else, the paring knife, for all you competition cooks that are out there shaving your chicken down, that paring knife it'll be just awesome for chicken prep. I mean, the thing is just a barbecue prep machine. And you're looking at
11.5-inch blunt end knife, $3.95, and your the paring knife is $1.95. So in the grand scheme of things, you're looking at maybe $6 in total for the two, and then shipping. So as you said, $10.95 later. The worst thing that happens is you're out not even $11 if everything went south quicker than later. So good review on those, and then let's go ahead and quickly shoot over for a quick recipe with the 3.5 minutes that we have left. Big Bold barbecued beef short ribs. I mean, I think beef short ribs are neglected. Also, I think the butchers kind of screw them up and don't leave them in their whole fashions the majority of the time. But you had a great recipe on your site about the Big Bold barbecued beef short ribs, so go ahead and tell us about that.
Like you, I am a huge fan of just barbecued beef ribs, period. And the problem is that when you go to buy what we barbecue guys call dino bones or big normal beef ribs, you can't get them with any meat on them. I mean, they're almost not even worth cooking because they lay up next to the prime rib. So if you're a meat guy, of course you're going to carve out as much of the prime rib as you can, so that you can capitalize on that primal, and then the ribs basically become throwaway meat, but they package them up and put them in the case and try to pass them off as beef ribs. Well, they're like I say, they're not worth cooking, and I've done it a few times, and it's very disappointing. So as an alternative to that, short ribs, you can actually get them with a fair amount of meat on them. I mean, they're about 3 inches long, generally speaking, and about 2.5 inches thick. The problem tends to be that they kind of cut them so that they're all various thicknesses. Well, just ask your meat guy. Just tell them you need 10 or 12 or whatever you need, equal thickness, and they'll hook you up. And so that's what I do. So basically, they're just a great replacement for your standard dino bones. And so as far as this recipe goes, there's really nothing special about it other than it's got some root beer and some kind of strange seasonings in it, chili powder and some black pepper and some garlic salt. But just basically just treat them like you would barbecuing regular beef ribs. Beef ribs in general, they do really, really well with low and slow kind of cooking. And so I cook mine at 325. And they for about 2 hours, and then I wrap them or cover them, put them in some root beer, and then cook them for another hour. And they're just great. I mean, so it's just a great replacement for beef ribs if you're a beef rib fan.
Any particular root beer that you have found that is incredibly complementary to the beef rib?
Absolutely. I recommend cold root beer.
Cold root beer. Now that's what I'm talking about. Cold root beer. Cool. And so really, as you look through the ingredients list, nothing really is jumping out at you as being exotic. You have the chili powder, the black pepper, garlic salt, all things that really should be in if you're any type of cooker or chef, all stuff that should be in your pantry.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing magical about them. It's just like I say, it's just a replacement for what people normally associate with beef ribs, and that would be the big, nasty dino bones, Fred Flintstone style that you normally see. And unfortunately, for the average guy, I got to say, don't waste your time and just go with short ribs.
There you go. He is John Dawson. He is the food blogger extraordinaire, food porno taking extraordinaire. A great review on the knives, John, and the barbecued beef ribs. And you can check them out at patio-bbq.com. Appreciate it, John. Thanks.
Thank you.
There he is, John Dawson, if you need him. patio-bbq.com. His recipe is up there as well as the review on the Kiwi knives. We will come back with one more segment. If you want to call in and win some Cosmos Q, you can do that. If you want to call in and win some... there was something else, a frog mat. You can do that as well. 216-220-0966. 216-220-0966. It's Rampy and you right here on the Barbecue Central Show.
Sometimes it's all about the free stuff. Call now to win something succulent.
All right, we are back. It's the Barbecue Central Show, finishing out with one more segment. Thanks again to John Dawson from patio-bbq.com for the review on the Kiwi knives. Check them out. Sounds like anybody can afford them, and they're doing very well for him. Also, thanks for the Big Bold Beef Barbecue Ribs recipe. John Dawson, patio-bbq.com. 216-220-0966 is the number to get in touch with the show. You can win a frog mat. You can also win Cosmos Q injections as well. So go ahead and make use of that, 216-220-0966, or you can email the show, getting lots of email about reaction to Myron Mixon's appearance on the second segment, bbqcentralradio@gmail.com. All right, let's go ahead and race to the phones. Barbecue Central Radio Show, name and where you're calling from. Hello?
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 Hello. Chris Rudy from Arizona.
Chris, how are you, buddy?
How are you doing?
Oh, can't complain. Been on the show with a very famous barbecue guy that likes to swear a lot. I like it.
I know. It's first time listening to it on live. I usually listen to it on my podcast.
How's the live stream coming across tonight, Chris?
Oh, it's great.
All right. Yeah, I'm getting some emails here intermittently from a few people saying that they were having trouble connecting in or that it was dropping out, but I think every once in a while you have some technical issues here on the interwebs. So what can I do for you tonight, Chris?
Well, I was just calling to see if I could win some prizes. I figured it was my first time live, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
That's what I'm talking about, Chris. So what would you like? You like a frog mat, or would you like some Cosmos Q injection prize pack?
I'm going to go with the prize pack.
All right. Cosmos BBQ. Now, you get a pork injection, a beef injection, and you also get a chicken soak, which is kind of like an instant brine. Maybe you're somewhere that you can't do all the traditional stuff. You drop that in with some water, and you're all set to go. Used it last week with some chicken breast. It was outstanding.
I'm looking forward to it.
All you need to do is send me your shipping information and send that to bbqcentralradio@gmail.com, and Cosmos will get you hooked up.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for calling in tonight, Chris. Appreciate it, buddy. There he is, Chris from Arizona. Philippines is listening right now, believe it or not. Philippines. Have Frog Mat to give away yet. 216-220-0966 if you're interested in that. George from Florida calling in. Contrary to what many on the forums have complained about, Myron Mixon is good for barbecue. More people are talking about the show due to his participation. As the late, great Dale Earnhardt used to say, I don't care if they are cheering or booing as long as they're making noise. I also noticed that Myron's next 2 cooking classes are full. Gee, he must be doing something right. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that for sure. So, thank you for writing in, George. Dennis as well. Let me see if I can. See, we've got some time here. I can pull off a CSI caper. 216-220-0966 if you want a frog mat. All right. Let me see here. Where did I put that thing? Here we go. And scene. Mr. Carey, what do we have? Well, I'm not sure to make of it, Horatio. We got a call from a neighbor at 4:20 this afternoon. 4:20 this afternoon. Said he saw something suspicious. And, Mr. Carey, and there's a wide swath of snow packed down from the back porch all the way down to the bridge of the lake. No blood, no sign of struggle. Mr. Carey, have you found a body? Yeah, we found the homeowner in the water encased in a big snowball-like thingy. Looks like cause of death is most likely drowning. He's a big man, Mr. Carey. No kidding. Took 7 guys to lift him out of the water. I'm guessing he's got to weigh close to 500 pounds. Well, one thing for sure, Mr. Carey. Someone sure knows how to roll the fatty. Oh, yeah. Ryan. I had you written down, too. Was it Ryan from Washington State? Was it Ryan? Barbecue Brethren Forum representing, by the way. Ryan with rolling a fatty. We go to area code 706, Barbecue Central Radio, name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Randy Morris, Lynette, Alabama.
Randy, how are you tonight, buddy?
Doing good, sir. Yourself, Greg.
Oh, I can't complain. Another successful show, so why not, right?
Absolutely. Sounded great.
Oh, well, outstanding, yeah. What kind of a cooker do you have, Randy?
Stumps.
And do you happen to know what size cooking grates those are?
It's a Stump 6.
Stumps 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, are you familiar with the frog mat by chance, Randy?
Yeah, I looked at it the other day when you were talking about it.
Oh, well, all right. Well, outstanding. So this will definitely help with your delicate items, also help stuff, from sticking to the grill grates. So go ahead, send me your shipping information. I'll get that down to Mike Riblett and the guys down at Frog Mat, and we'll get you hooked up.
Great. Thank you, Greg.
All right, Randy.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Now I'm fresh out of prizes. That's what it's all about. Right. Wanted to make quick mention. You remember a couple weeks ago, right? That, it was probably more than a couple weeks ago. Towards the end of the year, the guys down at AZ Barbecue were having a fundraiser for one of their forum members that was having quite the string of bad luck, having lost 3 family members inside of a year. Tragic suicide, death. It was just terrible. So they were trying to raise $5,000 for this guy's, what ended up being his grandkids that were left behind. And they had a pair of BCS championship bowl game tickets because they won the Bubba Keg Tailgate Series, the inaugural Bubba Tailgate Series competition, and they were raffling those off. They ended up able to get $1,000 for the pair, and they raised that from a holiday party. So that put them right around $3,000 raised for their college fund. So they're still $2,000 short, but they have some other fundraisers and events that they're going to be putting on here shortly to try and get to that $5,000 goal. So if you're interested in helping out in any way, just go ahead and email me that you want to help the guys out at AZ Barbecue for their fundraiser, that charity for the gentlemen out there, and I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with Michael Reinman. They run a great organization out there. They have a barbecue competition coming up here in February or March, I believe. Have a Q barbecue competition or something like that. I'll have more specifics on that sooner than later. But, yeah, again, great cause, great guys. I wanted to make mention of that they were just shy of their goal of $5,000. A quick reminder about D-Dog's Barbecue Rub. You know you love D-Dog's Barbecue Rubs and Sauces, but would you like to buy them locally? Well, of course you would, but who wants to pay the shipping? Not this guy. So go ahead and send Darren the name, address, and phone number of your local barbecue store, farmer's market, or grocery store, and he'll take care of the rest. His email address is Darren, at ddogsbbq.com. Darren at ddogsbbq.com, and he will get that local mom-and-pop shop hooked up Willie with the rubs and sauces. If you're not afraid of shipping, you can always go to his website and order whatever you want. ddogsbbq.com. Show programming notes coming up. Next week, we have John Marcus, who is the executive producer of BBQ Pitmasters on TLC, which airs Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look for that. Also, celebrity chef and grand poobah of everything barbecue and grilling in Canada, Ted Reeder, will be joining us once again for his monthly segment talking about Super Bowl food. Week after that, February 9th, Bruce Bjorkman, Mr. Barbecue, formerly of Traeger. He was our sales and marketing guy. You would recall when I was doing the expose on the oil flavors soaked pellets. Yeah, he rebuffed me, but they have since parted company. He's gone to another manufacturer of pellet grills, Mack, M-A-K grills. So we'll talk to him about that. And then we'll have an inaugural segment with Chili head Scott Roberts, who will be interviewing. He'll be reviewing barbecue sauces and rubs for us. And that is always appreciated. And he'll be a monthly contributor on that, reviewing barbecue rubs, barbecue sauces, maybe some hot sauces as well. Lots of those to review. So why not have somebody that can spend the time to do it, because my palate is very amateur. So look for Scott Roberts on February 9th. And then February 16th, Tuffy Stone from BBQ Pitmasters, when my mom reprises her role for monthly Connie's Recipe segment on the 16th. So we're jam-packed here for at least the next month, if not life, on the Barbecue Central show. I got to get out. Stay tuned for news coming up after me at the top of the hour. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here again live next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks all day, every day, even on iTunes now, for great barbecue and grilling talk 24/7 with Huck's Hut, Celebrity Grill, Hot Sauce Weekly, and replays of the Barbecue Central show. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.